All right, we are on YouTube Live. Want to say good evening to everybody out there and on the Hunt land. We are here for episode 56, believe it or not. That's right, we've done this 56 times. And as you can see on the screen, we have got two of our three counterparts. I should say two of the three of my three counterparts. We have got Bobby Bless, the number one Lions fan. Got to make sure I say that so many times for his contract. Otherwise, he'll leave the show. And we also have got Reggie the Man Funches. That's right. He is the Reggie in my cell phone. Hopefully in yours soon. But again, I want to say a good evening to my brothers here. And Nate Rucker hopefully will be joining us semi-soon. And as soon as he does, of course, we will let him into the show. So with that, it's episode 56. We hope you guys have already liked, comment, and subscribed. If you haven't already, please do so. It's a free thing, and it helps us out a lot more than you know. Right now, we are at 502 subscribers. We'd love to be, even more by the end of tonight's broadcast because we're trying to stay at that 500 barrier or more. Yeah. So with that being said, I want to say a good evening to Bobby Bless. Bobby, how's it going, man?
What's up, brother? I'm all right. Just trying to get over that loss on Sunday. That's pretty much it, man. My life around Walmart and Detroit Lions football for real right now. So tis the season.
I certainly understand that, my friend. And Reggie Funches, we have not spoken in a little bit, my friend. How are you doing?
About as well as could be expected.
So
Well,
I know you and I haven't spoken in a while, so I wanted to start off with you first while I start kind of sharing this episode everywhere, Reggie. But what were your thoughts on the game against Chicago and just kind of some of your thoughts in general? Because again, I know you always have some pretty good takes for us and you get us thinking. So
honestly, I kind of felt this coming. Unfortunately, what my thoughts about Goff is starting to, who has been manifesting over the last few games, where his limitations with his arm and with his feet makes him more predictable as teams start to game plan more and more against what Ben Johnson's trying to create for him. And we're starting to see it manifest. And I don't want to say it's scary, but one thing we've been talking about, especially over the pregame show, our game plan show, we need to get back to doing what we were doing earlier this year, and that's pounding teams. And I know with our injuries on the line, it's probably making it not as easy for us to do it, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try. Because Sunday, it was one of those things where we clearly can't stop Fields. So maybe we need to run the ball to keep him off the field. But that didn't happen. We had some predictable play calling. Even on our fourth down calls, it was just really predictable, which led to drives being stopped and opportunities being lost. So I don't know, man. It's really kind of I'm a little bit concerned over the last four games, but I guess we'll see, bro.
Bobby Bless, your thoughts. I'm almost scared to ask you your thoughts because I feel like if you were in that locker room, they probably would need a paint job after you were done screaming at them. But go ahead, man, let it out. This is like therapy.
Yeah, man. Of course, like I said on one of my posts on Facebook, I'm not gonna sit here and act like the offense don't leave a lot to desire. They lacking, turnovers, dropping the ball. But that defense from the kickoff, man, even though on the first series off the kickoff, they got marched on down the field. It's other stuff. It's not all on the defense. It's just that the defense is not really helping as we thought. It's almost like it's reversed from last year. last year they were horrible to start off the season. This year they were pretty good. Now they're definitely tapering off. We got major injuries on each levels. Each level of the defense. Anzalone out here one-handed. Gardner Johnson, he out of here. We waiting on Houston. It's just we got. What was the corner that got hurt? Was it Sutton or Mosley? I can't remember. Mosley, right? Is that the one that got hurt?
Yeah, Mosley.
Yeah, because Sutton, he don't look like he was worth that money. I'm so glad they signed him to a 1-year contract. So it's just interesting to see how much that defense is lacking. I know a lot of people calling for Aaron Glenn's job. You know, we don't do that here on this podcast. And I actually feel like he should, like, he don't got nothing in the cabinet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We talked about how we didn't pick a defensive player at the draft or during free agency. During trade deadline, we should have picked something up. It's just that he's trying to put together a game plan where he don't got enough pieces. The line is injured. Taylor Decker has dropped dramatically. Similar to like what Reggie was saying, Goff. I think it's the residue of not running the ball consistently, exposing Goff passing way more than he should. Me personally, I thought of Goff as a guy that throws it from 25, 30 times. He's throwing way more than that. We're giving up on the run game. And I'm similar to what Reggie said, we're not pounding the ball, but it seemed like we got too many gimmicky runs. Like, I got Gibbs going into motion, you're throwing it backwards or you're fake throwing it backwards. And you know what I mean? It's just like too much going on where these guys as tough guys, we should just be able to line up and hit. We have exotic running games. These guys can block man on man. They can block zone. And we already know how I feel about Jared Goff and them damn gloves. So yeah, so it's hard for me to even defend the guy for how he played, because once he wear the gloves, I don't even like him. I can't even get creative about it no more, you know. so it's kind of like thank God, like we talked about in last week's episode, we ain't outside no more. So hopefully we don't have to see that no time. So it's just a lot of stuff going on. As far as St. Brown dropping passes, if anybody can have a bad day, it's him. He's normally consistent. I don't see it happening much. I see him, the type of guy, probably hit the jug shing as soon as he got home. You know what I mean? He trying to catch passes. That's a kind of a assessed guy. I think he is about catching that football. And another thing too, Jameson Williams' targets is just horrible. I don't know. Ben Dodson does a lot of scheming up, but it ain't to get Jameson Williams a football, and I think that's an issue. So I'm starting to think that that's an issue because we have nothing to really stretch the field. I seen People Jones make a hell of a play. I seen Laporta. He didn't get enough, but that's, you can't expect the tight end to be your number one receiver or even your number two, honestly. So it comes down to the fact is now that the league has caught up to Ben Johnson, what can he do to counter what he's been doing? Because he got to have counters to what he's been running. So it's kind of interesting to see what we're going to do as far as getting to the next step of the offense or the next phase of the offense. Because with some of this cute play calling we do on offense, is almost like Ben Johnson trying to interview for coaching jobs, doing new innovative stuff, which is not wrong if it's working. But if it ain't working, you got to stick to the heart of this team, which is the offensive line. And if my guy Reggie the offensive line like to run block. They ain't too keen on pass blocking. So let's let our guys be the maulers that they are and run that ball. That's pretty much my take. And I don't want to lose. That's about it, brother.
So I want to address a couple of things Bobby said, and I want to get everybody involved here. So when it comes to Jared Goff, I feel like I've been very clear about my feelings on Jared Goff and my expectations of him and all that. Okay, let me tell you right up front. There is nobody more sad or distraught about the way Jared Goff has been playing football these last few weeks than his agent. I promise you that, okay? We can be mad as fans. He can be mad as an individual. You know, organization can be mad. The players can be mad. But his agent is probably screaming right now because of how he is playing. Because as he continues to turn the ball over, he is losing money. And he is making it to where it's like, maybe we don't need a contract extend him. Now, listen, I said a few shows ago, in order for him to earn that extension, in my eyes, he needs to win the division and win a playoff game. You do those two things, okay, we need to extend you. Now, I also said, if he wins the Super Bowl this year, and I still think there's a shot to do that. Let's remember, we are not, 4-9. We are 9-4, people. But there's still a chance for him to do that. If he wins the Super Bowl, he's a Lion for life. He'll stay here for as long as he wants to stay here, okay? Until they figure out a way to kindly tell him it's time to go, and at which point he'll still buy himself more time because he won us a Super Bowl, all right? So Super Bowl, you're Lion for life. Win a playoff game, win the division, you get a contract extension. Now, with all that being said, Hendon Hooker has now opened up the 21-day practice window. He had that opened up for him. He is just starting to get to practicing. I do not see them going to Hendon Hooker before the end of the season. I actually see Jared Goff rebounding and us being okay. But what I will say is, if he keeps turning the ball over, next offseason, you are going to see a quarterback battle between him and Hendon Hooker, between Jared Goff and Hendon Hooker, because I can promise you right now, there were a couple of those throws for Jameson Williams where I'm looking at it and I'm not trying to put our starting quarterback down, but it's a thing of you got to know what your players can do well and what they can't do well. Those throws, those deep throws to Jameson, those are Hendon Hooker throws. All day long, Hendon Hooker can hit that throw. Jared Goff cannot. And it kind of goes to what Bobby was talking about earlier. If you know that Jared Goff can't throw that deep ball very well, why do you keep trying to have him do that? And why is that seemingly the only route you ever get Jameson Williams involved in? There are other routes you can have the kid run, but it seems like all they want to do is just run him deep for 4 times a game and see if they can chuck it up to him, or have him attempt to run the ball when everybody knows that's coming. So to me, I agree with Bobby about, Ben Johnson, maybe getting a little bit stale or getting a little too as he is being presumed to be the next coach for another franchise. But it's to go back to Jared Goff, because that's the main thing that everybody looks at me for, is my opinion on that. Again, there's still time for him to rebound. He's got 4 games left to make a statement for himself. But if I'm Brad Holmes, it don't matter how much I love you. I'm looking at results on the field. And when you turn the ball over, you don't give me any material, any ammunition to fight your battle for you in that negotiation. That's how I look at it. And I think, like I said, if he keeps turning the ball over, you're going to hear people start talking about Hendon more. I was on Twitter right after the Chicago game, and I cannot tell you, fellas, how many people were screaming, get Hendon in there. And we all know, because we follow the team, that he's not ready for that. He's not ready for that yet. He literally just started practicing. But if they're already doing that now, you start losing a couple more games, you start having, games where you are the reason why we lose, or one of the main reasons, you're going to hear that more and more loud. And so I just want to stop there for a second, and I want to ask Reggie. Reggie, what do you think? Do you think that the noise is going to be a lot? Do you think that Goff is losing himself money? What do you think?
Oh, he's definitely losing himself money. But this, unfortunately, this is one of them "I told you so" situations where there was a reason why the Rams got rid of him, and we're starting to see it manifest now. As he's easy to game plan against. If I say I'm going to keep my defense in this tight box, not like he's going to beat me over the top, it makes it us easier to defend. And especially if we don't run the ball like we usually do, because now they're going to cheat up, which opens it up a little bit beyond what his box is, or what his limitations with his arm is. And smarter minds than me can see this right now. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Holmes can say comfortably that I'm just going to give this guy $40 million a year, or $30 million a year, $35 million a year, because now I'm tying myself to what could be possibly a lame horse, a horse with a fractured leg.
Right.
That's not what we need here. If we're going to have a sustained winning window, you got to have a QB that can make plays up and down the field consistently without turning the ball over and being able to make big plays. And unfortunately, Goff isn't really capable of doing that, not on a consistent basis. So right now, he's on the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
He has to justify the money that he wants, or his agent wants, or whoever wants it. and to tell you the truth, I know you said that, if we win the division and if we win a playoff game, that, he should probably be paid. I'm going to take it a step further. He needs to be the reason why we won it.
Okay.
There's a difference there.
That's fair.
If we pounded them dudes and we go for 250, 300 yards a game, that ain't on him. That's on the O-line.
But to me, that would still be better than anybody who has been before him. That's why I was putting the bar at just win the game. Don't do anything to lose us the game, I guess is what I was saying.
And that's the other kicker. Because right now, he's been part of the reason why we're losing it.
Yeah.
Leading up to that point. And it is what it is. Every QB is going to have a tough period,
right,
at one point during the season. It could be a game or two. We just watched it happen with Joshua Dobbs. He literally just had back-to-back bad games, and he actually benched the guy after he had 4 or 5 straight really good games.
Right.
But that's the nature of what's happened in the NFL, is what have you done for me lately? Mm-hmm. And right now, Goff ain't doing much for us right now. He's actually hurting us. And we're all seeing the reasons why.
Yeah.
And it's creating limitations with this offense. So he gonna have to get it together. He got to get it together quick, because it's not about to get easier. It's about to get tougher.
And I do want to pop in before I send it to Bobby, because I know Jared Goff is Bobby's guy, like to his core, and I want to hear what Bobby's got to say about this. But I also want to throw in something I said a few shows back. I said, if you have to make a choice between paying Jared Goff millions of dollars to stay in Detroit, or paying the people around Jared Goff and rolling with Hendon Hooker, that might be something worth kind of taking a look at, because you still have Hendon on a rookie deal, which means you're paying him pennies instead of paying him millions and not having the money to invest in other places around him. So I think that's a conversation that I have put the pause on a few months ago because of how good Jared Goff was playing. But I do want to put that into people's minds as well, because we also thought, just to kind of remind people of what we've said before, we thought 8 weeks into the season, when we were 6-2, that they were going to try to get something done for a deal, and that never happened. So it's like they already decided they were going to wait till the end of the season to make a deal, and I'm sure Jared Goff's agent regrets that now, because 6-2, he had a hell of a lot of leverage. Right now, he's losing leverage as time goes on. But if they wait till the end of the season, you might have to look at that, okay? You got Hendon Hooker, who can do everything that Jared Goff can do, and he's mobile, and he's on a rookie deal, so he's affordable, and you can pay everybody else who are coming up on contract extensions, like Amon-Ra, for example. That contract negotiation's coming up fairly quickly. So you can pay everybody else and roll with Hendon, or you can pay Jared Goff and have to tell some other guys, sorry, we can't afford you. I think that's going to be a conversation that you are going to hear pop up if we keep losing.
And
with
just
that being said,
and just as a qualifier, Hendon got to prove it too, because this ain't one of those situations where you like, okay, we got a young QB, let's see what he does, and if he loses games, that's okay. No, right now we're winning.
Right.
And we want sustained winning. So he gonna have to come in and actually do something that's going to be extremely difficult.
You got to hit the ground.
You got to hit
the ground running.
And I don't see Hendon playing, honestly, guys. I don't see Hendon playing this season. I see him playing in the preseason next year. And based on that, I think that's where the quarterback controversy kind of grows after he's had a year to get his feet underneath him, get healthy, learn from Jared Goff, because he is learn from Teddy Bridgewater. He's got a lot of people to learn from in that building. I think this year he soaks it all up. Next offseason, you might have a quarterback controversy on your hand if Jared Goff keeps turning the ball over and Hendon looks like he can handle it. With that being said, I want to turn it over to Bobby. Bobby, Jared Goff, I know we talked a lot about him on Friday. Where are you at with him right now, man? Because I know you are a staunch defender.
I'm still riding with him. He got a pretty much a 5-game to prove that he's that guy or whatever. But I tell you this straight up, I'd rather see Hendon Hooker than see him with gloves on outside. I swear, I'd rather see him than that. So I'm still on the boat, but hey, I'm looking for the life raft. I'm not heading that way, but I'm looking for that. Like, what the hell? Because to be honest with you,
man, you can just jump in the dinghy with me, man.
Because I don't see because I don't see Chicago getting no damn time soon, or Green Bay. So, like, this gonna be an every year thing? 2-3 games out the year, he just gonna fuck it up. I don't think I'm okay with that one. So now it comes down to me is for me to justify my support, he has to do something that hasn't been done in Detroit Lions history. That's not done a lot in Detroit Lions history. That's therefore win a division and win a playoff game. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm at with that. You know what I mean? If he continues to falter, there is no way in hell he cannot be in a quarterback competition. Yeah. So I'm put it like this. I see where you're coming from, Elijah. I'm still playing the violin on the Titanic, but I ain't waiting till it go all the way down. I ain't waiting until it don't go all the way down. But I would honestly, to be honest, I would like to see who is going to, I probably said this last year too, but who is going to be the coach to tell his ass to not wear gloves outside? Who is that coach? And to me, like, I'm watching the game. Chicago didn't look that cold to me. I mean, I live in Toledo, Ohio, but it didn't look like it was frosty cold where he needed them damn gloves anyway. To me, personally, I don't know. Like, do he practice with these gloves? Who watches him practice with these gloves? You know what I mean? There's a lot of questions. That's the most intriguing glove since OJ, right? So I asked myself, man, like when you told me that he had the gloves on, I'm like, man, it just took all the wind out of my sails, man. Mm-hmm. But they came out running, so I'm like, okay, maybe they might try to dominate the run game, but I don't know. I'm here with golf because I don't want to like use a few games because in all actuality we only got 4 losses in December, man. Where have I got these high standards from being a Detroit Lions fan where I could be like mad as all hell at Jared Goff for these 4 losses, right? So he still got that going for him, that nostalgia of what's actually in the driver's seat for the division. But I want to see him do what I liked the most about him was like take what the game gives you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't force passes. Don't make mistakes. He's been it's almost like he's pressing. And the reason why I think he's pressing because I think he's throwing the ball too much. I really do. I really think the fact that it's not balanced like it's used to, because me watching the Lions game, especially with the offense, it's like me after I go grocery shopping. I got all these different options, but fuck it, I'll just put something in the microwave real quick. Let's mix it up. You know what I mean? Let's mix it up. Let's go ahead and cook it. Let's prepare it, and let's you know what I'm saying, have a good meal out of it. Because I think a lot of times we start off with the run, we go to the pass, but we never come back. So I don't know. And then another thing too, Ben Johnson ain't the quarterback whisperer no more. That's gone too. What the hell?
Well, I've been on that train
he's
for
only
a
gonna
while.
be as good as his QB.
But see,
right. So is he saying he tapping out with Goff, or is he leaving it, or is he talking about like is he taking blame for it? You know how that stuff go with that. So I don't know, man. We were doing a lot of stuff that was creative. The thing that pops into my mind from last game is how they lined up Decker and Sewell on the left side, and they ran to the right. So that was something new that I can't remember saying I seen them do all year. So I just want to see something different, man. We come to and one more last caveat too before I get to Jared Goff. The Lions are not the lovable losers no more. Them the teams that people are powering up, giving their best games to now.
Right.
They sick of hearing about this fucking underdog team. We still the Lions until we did something different.
Yeah.
So that all that nostalgia about the America's team and America's underdog, that nobody care about that. But that's just a Northwest thing. You know, I mean a Midwest thing with us. Detroit area thing. Don't nobody care about the Lions winning or losing but us. So I asked myself, are we thinking we the shit and not hungry no more? Is that the reason why we losing to these inferior teams? I just don't know. And just get Jared Goff play is like Reggie said, and when it comes to this Jared Goff quarterback shit, that I don't never agree with Reggie, but it's part of the problem. It is part of the problem. I can't deny that.
Hey, Bobby, you know what the funny thing is? There's somebody worse than me. He's been saying this since we got the guy. He said, he said, he gonna hurt you. He gonna hurt us. He said, don't believe in him. He said, don't trust him. He said, because he's a LA fan too.
Yeah, right.
So he's an LA fan and a Detroit fan. Shout out to my boy Tone. He been talking about it. I'm like, I wasn't like staunch against Goff. I'm just like, he gonna have to prove it to me.
Yeah, right.
Prove to me that you're not who they think you are.
Right.
But unfortunately, he doesn't have the tools to really make that proof. Like, how we talk about, the funny thing is we talk about QBs all the time in the NFL. And with QBs, we always say, when it comes to wins and losses, it's on the QB, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only certain QBs. If it's Josh Allen, if it's Mahomes, if it's Hurts, that's the guys you put that on because these are superstars. These are guys that the team is literally built around.
And they can create. And they can create off-script plays.
Yeah, but now you start talking about a guy like Nick Foles. And I'm not saying that Goff is Nick Foles, but he's a guy that the team is so good around him that he just doesn't have to make mistakes.
Yeah. Right. I see what you mean.
And we can win a game. But when he starts making mistakes, now you're like, all right, dog, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. We got to get somebody in. We need somebody dynamic in that position. And this is what happens with, and this is be honest. We talked about Stafford. His arm was dynamic. And the team might not always been great around him, but his arm was dynamic. It allowed him to throw his way out of trouble in a lot of situations. And that's what allows him to do what he's doing in LA. No matter what, Stafford's gonna be able to throw the ball. He's gonna be able to get it.
Yeah, right. And then his arm can go past 30-some, past 30,
which
35, 40
which allows
passes.
Guys like Puka Nacua and his boy. It allows them to do what they want to do with their offense. Unfortunately, what's also funny? I'll leave it alone after this. It's funny how the dynamic can shift from blaming Jameson for what's been going on with him to blaming Goff for Jameson not being used the way he's supposed to.
He only got one.
I don't know if y'all noticed that shift.
He only got one target last week. You can't really defend him. I mean, you really can't defend it because, come on, man, how he not get? You ain't no way in hell you can tell me he was only open one time.
And the kick. I'm sorry. The kicker is on that too. I'm watching guys like Reed for
Green Bay.
For Green Bay, he's feasting. They finding ways to get him the ball because he's that dynamic. This is what Jameson is.
If we could get that creativity like Green Bay using with Reed for Jameson, that would be nice. Because he's super fast.
And here's the thing to kind of build off what Reggie is saying. I'm gonna use Stafford as an example, but I'm not going to throw a bunch of love on Stafford. You already know I love the guy, but here's where I'm saying we need to learn from our mistakes. A big reason why I brought up what I said about you can roll with Hendon on a rookie deal and pay everybody else around him, or you can pay Goff and then have to send other people packing. I said that because we did that with Stafford. We gave him all the money and then sent the people that made the team successful packing. Now, I'm not saying Stafford, was somebody who, just needed not to lose the game. Reggie's right. Stafford can win you the game, but you gave away pieces that you didn't have to give away because you made him the highest paid quarterback to ever throw the dang football. And so that is the reason why when it comes to Hendon Hooker, I'm looking at it a little differently. And I'm saying, wait a minute now, you can roll with a rookie and you can pay everybody else. You can lock up everybody else around him. Aiden gets a deal. Amon-Ra gets a deal. Jameson gets a deal when it's his time. Jameer gets a deal when it's his time. You can lock up all these people, or you can just pay Jared Goff.
And that's the thing about what Holmes has done. First of all, he grabbed somebody. Like, now, mind you, Goff has only been here, 2 years?
Right.
2 years. He's been here 2 years. He's already grabbed a guy. So he was like, okay, look. And that's the mistake that we did with Stafford. Stafford was producing. Stafford, if you look at the way the dynamic goes with paying QBs, he was just the next in line. Yeah. But the thing is, you have to say, hey, something happens, and then you got to protect yourself anyway. We have an injury. We have, he has a bad slew of games. You got to be able to protect yourself. You got to say, hey, we got a guy. And we do. We got it in Bridgewater. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, we never did that, though. We never put value.
We never did.
Until this season, we have never put value in the second quarterback slot. And so
you see what happened with Boyle, right?
Yeah. And like I said, I'm glad that Brad Holmes went and got Hendon. I'm glad that he went and got Teddy. In a perfect world, as I've already said, Hendon gets to learn behind these guys without ever having the threat of having to play until next offseason. That is my perfect world scenario. It's not about the injury. That obviously that is a big reason why he's on the bench, right? Is because he got hurt. But more so, they say, listen, there's no pressure to play because the two guys in front of you, they got it right now. All you need to do is learn how to be a pro. That's my perfect world for Hendon Hooker. But right now, that perfect world's getting all squandered and everything because Jared Goff can't hit Jameson Williams on a deep route. And more importantly, Ben Johnson can't figure out how to use one of the fastest players in the league. And if I'm Carolina, I'll say this right now. If I'm Carolina, because that's where everybody thinks Ben Johnson's going to go, is Carolina. If I'm Carolina, I'm looking at the games we lose, not the games we win. And I'm looking at it going, is this what we want? Is he really an offensive guru? Because what kills me the most is that we lost to the Packers, who we should have killed on Thanksgiving. And
because of Decker. Oh my God, Decker was so
let's bring Decker into this conversation. Because Bobby, I want you to go ahead from what you're seeing, and I want Reggie as a big fella to kind of chime in here. I'm gonna sit this one out because I'm not an offensive lineman and I don't know much about what they do every single down. But Bobby, take it away because you spotted something.
Yeah, I think Decker. I think Decker is not engaging. Like he's not the first. He's waiting for it to come. He's not. They beat him to the spot. He's not kicking outside far enough or quick enough. And I see him getting beat from speed to power. You know, he's so worried about the speed that they come right up into him and push him out the way. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm kind of more into like putting the tight end on Decker's side. Panay, he only gave up 1 or 2 sacks maybe this whole year. So I think Decker need help out there, and I think we need to look into left tackle. But I don't think we need to draft one. If one comes, I think we need more of a guy in free agency that plays multiple positions more than like just your bookend first round tackle type guy. Or maybe we can get another guy and move Panay to left tackle, because I think the expiration date on Decker is probably coming up. But as far as like his play though, not like his contract or nothing, he's very underwhelming. Last year he was very good. I don't know what his drop off is, but I think he's lacking. And I also feel like, we don't run it enough. Can't have him passing, blocking all game either. Or maybe you only want him pass blocking the same amount of times you want Garrett Goff throwing. So I think the sheer volume of the passing game is affecting the line too. And that's it. Like that's it really. Maybe Reggie can elaborate a little bit more than me. I don't want to put it all on one guy. But go ahead, Reg.
And I'm glad you said that because it's not just that. I think we tend to forget how much rhythm is a part of rhythm and chemistry are huge when it comes to offensive line. And when you miss your center, it's a trickle down effect because now you got guys playing out of position. You got a guy that's typically not there. The communication might be a little bit off, and it causes a cascading effect on the offensive line. And so guys like Decker, who, he's a smart guy, he's a heady guy, he knows what to do. But when you start to lose a step, you can't start having lose a step and the guy next to me doesn't know how to pick up or how to pick me up when I'm in a bad situation. And so it's one of those things where now we have to start looking at, okay, making sure that we have not just depth, but effective depth, where a guy's like, okay, it's not going to be a dramatic drop-off if we do have to make a change at that position. If you decide to bring Panay over and put him at left tackle, so now we got to bring up a guy that's going to be just as good. It happens, man. Like, you got talking about the most physical position on the field is anybody that's in the trenches. And, going up against these DNs ain't no joke in the NFL.
Yeah.
They are no joke. They present speed, they present power, and you getting pounded. And that's where we start talking about how many times am I dropping back instead of hitting back. Because that's what I want to do.
Right.
I want to hit him. I'm getting pounded right now, man. Almost. Like, it's one of those gives and takes. So that's why, I hate to say it, but this goes back to our QB. The way this offense is being ran, it's like we're trying to continue to do the things that we were doing in the beginning of the year. And these guys are keying in on it. Like what happened with Amon-Ra, that's an anomaly. You ain't gonna never see it again.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen no more.
Not gonna see drops like that again.
No,
but
he probably right now he probably practicing catching the football literally as we speak. So,
but when your top two options are guys that are typically effective within 15 to 20 yards,
you could just crowd the damn middle of the field because it ain't coming outside.
And we're not throwing it over the top. We're not even threatening to throw it over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know we just got done talking about Jameson and about Ben Johnson and utilizing your speed, but he has one speed guy that he's trying to maximize in Gibbs. Now, it's easy to do with one. It's kind of difficult to do it with two. But that's where you say we got to get. Where's the genius at? Where's the creating things for the both of them, getting them both? Look, in my head at the beginning of the year, I was thinking, wait till they put Gibbs and Jameson in some stacks.
Right.
Like,
they don't do that,
this is gonna be this. But then I thought about it, I'm like, but dang, is Goff gonna be able to give him the ball? I can stack it all I want.
Yeah.
But can I get it to him?
Yep. And the thing is, I think not to cut you off, Reggie, but just from a quarterback perspective, as I said earlier, you got to know what your players can do and what they can't do. And if you know he can't throw the ball deep more than 40 yards down the field accurately, okay, because that seems to be the issue, then why wouldn't you work in some other routes that are less than 40 yards down the field? You could do what Reggie's talking about, stack them. And they ain't got to run 40 yards down the field. They just got to run 7 or 8 yards, get open, get the ball, and then let them do their thing. But that's why, like I said before, if I'm Carolina or any team looking for a coach, and I'm thinking about Ben Johnson, I'm gonna take what Bobby said earlier, and I'm gonna add to what Bobby said, and I don't think Bobby would have expected me to go this direction with it. Okay, so we'll see if I can shock Bobby Bless. Bobby said earlier, it is hard to judge Aaron Glenn with an empty cupboard. Pretty easy to judge Ben Johnson when he's got a full cupboard and there's also stuff sitting on the counter, right? He's got so much talent and he's not figuring out how to use it all. Some guys get left out every single
I will
game.
expand on your analogy.
I
can have all I want in my refrigerator. I can have all I want in my cupboard.
Ain't got no
cook. All I want
on
my counter. But if all I got is a microwave, my catalyst, if my catalyst is limited, I don't got an oven. I don't have an oven.
But same, because I don't cook at my house. I suck at cooking. But you know what? I still put shit in the microwave. I just do it in bigger increments. I say, okay, I'm going to put 7 minutes on this. 8 minutes on this.
You put a turkey in that microwave and see what happens.
No, I'm not going to put a turkey in the microwave. My point, though, is for all his genius, for all that we want to celebrate about Ben Johnson, which usually comes at the expense of Aaron Glenn for whatever reason you want to throw out there, but it's always praise Ben Johnson and neglect or disrespect Aaron Glenn, which I'm not about. Y'all know that. But for all the praise about Ben Johnson, and sometimes he deserves it, I look at it and I do get frustrated, like Reggie was saying, when you look at Jameson and you're going, why? Because you only got 4 years with this kid before you got to figure out what it is you want to do with him. We're on year 2. Why does he not know any other route? And when he does
that's the point that I was going to bring up too, because it ain't just him that's limited.
He's wide open.
So I got a limitation in my QB and I got a limitation in my wide receiver. It makes it to where I'm limited in what I can do with them. Now, when you got somebody like think about how Jameson has scored this year. right?
Trick plays.
Or trick plays.
They've been mostly trick plays. It's been stuff where like, dog, I forgot about Jameson being over there. But I forgot to drop back in coverage, and his speed, he went right by me. But that was the point. And then you think about even the touchdown he had the other, was it last week or week before last?
Week before last against the Saints.
Week before last. When you see those type of things, you're like, okay, these are those small bursts. These are the simple things that we could do with him because it doesn't require him to think that much. Get to this spot, the ball will be there. Hopefully. Or get to this spot and use your speed. That's all I want you to do. You know what I'm saying? It ain't the same as like utilizing Gibbs. Like Gibbs is heady, sure-handed, got speed, and I can run. I'm not worried about Gibbs.
Yeah.
With Jameson, I got a few worries. And I am going to take a defense of Ben Johnson in this situation. If I'm the Panthers, I'm not so much looking at him just because of his offensive genius and everything. I'm just thinking about his overall football mind. So that like when you go to interview a guy like that, you're going to say, okay, you throw some situations at him. It's the same thing when you had to talk about Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell ain't no offensive genius. He ain't. He was a tight end, and he ended up being a tight end coach, and he's a rah-rah guy, and he's a guy that he's gonna gamble, right?
Yeah.
It's different from him. Then we start talking about Shanahan. Shanahan is an offensive mind. He's a football genius. And that's what they're looking for with somebody like Ben Johnson. Are you the next Shanahan? I
don't think he is. To be honest with you,
but you think of what Shanahan's got,
right? But I'm also, and I will say this. If I'm Ben Johnson, given the history of the Carolina Panthers in recent years, I don't want
no parts.
I don't even know if I take that interview because you're not even.
I don't want no part. I would not be going to North Carolina.
Yeah,
I would not.
But
I go to the Chargers if I was him.
But to go back to Jameson for a moment, I was watching the Chicago game, and I don't know if y'all can relate to me on this or not, but when we kept getting in 3rd and long, I kept thinking, why aren't we trying to get it to Jameson? Why is it still an offense that runs through when it comes to receiver? Amon-Ra or bust. And
it's a matter of trust.
Right, but you don't get no trust if you don't at least try. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of my thing. Like I think about like basketball, for example. And I don't know a ton about basketball, so y'all bear with me on this one. But like when you have a superstar player, a superstar talent, and you know they're coming off injury, you already know they're gonna make some mistakes, but you keep going back to them in great quantity because you need them to get into a rhythm. It's hard to get into a rhythm when you're out there getting cardio for 59 minutes of the game. And then they say, hey, by the way, we're going to throw a deep ball, but when you're looking to the left, we're going to throw it to the right. That's what I'm saying.
I got something for you, Eli.
Okay.
And I'm going to quote my favorite basketball player that's not a Piston.
Okay.
Kobe Bryant.
All right.
Kobe Bryant said,
take my shoes off.
Why? He said, somebody asked him, why don't you pass other guys the ball in the clutch or crunch time? And he said, I remember this because I watch these guys practice.
They don't work.
I watch you show up late. I watch you show up and leave early. Meanwhile, I'm over here grinding, working on my craft, getting better at what I do. So when it comes down to it, I'm not throwing you the ball because I don't trust you.
Right. I heard that.
If Jameson wants that trust, Jameson has to earn that trust. And it starts by, yes, what happens off the field. Yeah. That's what happens when you go to practice. Yeah. And then showing up in a game. And that's like, we got the situation right now with a couple of our basketball teams, or not our basketball, a couple of our teams. So when you have a guy like Jameson, in 3rd and 10, who do you trust more, Amon-Ra or him? That's
It
really
depends.
not a. It's really, and I, it's one of those things where you like, I get exactly what you're talking about, Eli. Like, and it still goes back to our QB, man.
No,
I hate it. I hate that.
I know all roads lead back to Jared Goff, and this is not. None of us are trying to turn this into a bash on Jared Goff session, but
no, but
like,
it's the nature of the beast.
It is, but like I was saying though, as you just said, 3rd and 10, who do you trust more? I obviously trust Amon-Ra, okay? But there was something that Bobby said, and he was very eloquent when he said it last week. He said the Bears are going to stuff the middle. They're going to make it hard to throw to Laporta.
And they did it. They did it.
They did it. Bobby was right. You got to give Bobby some flowers on that because he was right. But that's where I'm saying, like 3rd and 10, do I trust Amon-Ra? Yeah, of course I trust Amon-Ra. But when Amon-Ra's got 3 Bears and their entire coaching staff on him,
somebody got to be
open.
Somebody
else is open. Somebody else, like Bears Jameson. And like when it was 4th down and 17, okay? 4th down and 17, first of all, you find yourself in that position. There is no play for 4th down and 17. I just want y'all to know that right now.
They say it all the time. There's nothing on the play card before anything.
That is, I have a play card. It's over in my closet right now from when I was coaching. 4th and 17, you pack your shit up and you go home. But my thing is, okay, 4th and 17, why are you throwing it to Amon-Ra? I love Amon-Ra. He's a blue-collar dude, but he does not have that speed to get away from everybody. You chuck that shit up to Jameson, and if he catches it, you look like
he might go all the way. He might go all the way.
Might go all the way. Okay. If he doesn't catch it, well, you had no business trying to do something in 4th and 17 anyway. But what do we do instead? We threw it to Amon-Ra. He almost caught it. You could have thrown that to Jameson. I don't even know if Jameson was on the field. That would be an all 22 question for Bobby. Was Jameson on the field on 4th down and 17?
Oh, when he threw the interception at the end?
Yeah, any of the long plays, I would say go look. Was Jameson on the field?
I gotta look. I'm gonna look for you, Elijah, tonight.
To me, like I said, as a former quarterback, I'm looking at it going, I love Amon-Ra. He's my dude. They know he's my dude. I got to get somebody else involved. My next option is the fastest guy on the field. Like Tua be chucking shit up sometimes just to say, oh, fuck it. Tyreek's down there somewhere.
Yeah.
And we don't do that.
I trust him though.
I know. And I can't deny that. Like that is a great point that you're making. And unfortunately, because we're not at practice, I can't tell you that, oh no, Jameson's being unfairly treated. I can't say that because I don't see that. But what I do see is when we get into games, it's like
you know what it is? You know what it is, Eli? You're going to give the coaching staff a benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where that's what it all boils down to. Number one, too, and what I don't know, you probably talked about it last week. Chicago's playing inspired football because one, they felt like they shouldn't have lost the last game, and we was talking junk afterward, which you get bulletin board material. This is what happens,
right?
And the main person they was gonna key in on was Amon-Ra
because he talks the most.
He talks the most
because he said something. And coming into a game like this, these are the definition of trap games. It's a very definition of trap game. And I'd rather get this out the way now so we can finish handling business for the rest of the season. Like, get that out the way. Though, and we had it last year. We'd have had a couple this year. It was like the Thanksgiving game was one. And this is the other one. And I always tell people, you can't calculate a divisional game. It's not something that you can calculate. I don't care how good you are. Like, look at what happened with Philadelphia. Yeah. They got pounded.
The last 2 weeks they've gotten pounded.
Yeah. And it's one of them things where, like, you can't calculate it. It can go either way.
Mm-hmm.
If I was a betting man, I would never bet on a divisional game because I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, something that Bobby and I were talking about on Friday's show, we were talking about the fact, at least I know I said it, and I think Bobby agreed with me. We've been so hungry for a division title. And earlier in the year, it was kind of made like it was a foregone conclusion that we're going to win this division. Now we need to start thinking about other things that we might want to do this season, other goals. You've already hit you're already going to hit that first goal. What's your next one after that? Sort of.
And we ain't even hit the goal yet, right?
And we haven't hit the goal yet. And
yeah.
I'm impatient. Okay. As a fan, I am impatient. I want us to get this division wrapped up because the last thing I want to hear about is how the Vikings or the Packers spent all season messing up and shooting themselves in the foot just for us to give it away to them. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that story play itself out. And I think that's another reason why I'm so frustrated, because my loss, get it out of the way so we can keep going, was Thanksgiving. I said, you know what? Get it out of the way, because we came out in that game flat as hell. I said, we ain't winning this game. We don't deserve to win this game because we've been doing everything we can to help them out.
Hey, them old school jerseys, bad luck too, man. Them Thanksgiving jerseys, burn them motherfuckers. They're bad luck.
Everybody, and here's what sucks the most, okay? We spent all this time being Lions fans, being the lovable losers, as Bobby said earlier.
It's over with. It's over with.
And then when everybody expects us to show up and win, what do? On national television, we shit the bed, and we got Jack Harlow out there performing in a sorry-ass looking igloo. I don't know what that was about, but I'm just saying, like, he looked sad to be out there. He was like, shit. All right, well, I guess I got to sing some of my top hits.
I mean, it was pretty good, man.
It was horrible. He was out there on plastic wrap in a sorry-looking igloo. Like, I don't know what. Like, are we not giving them money for halftime shows now? Like, what are we doing?
I think I named me another plate during that top part. Yeah.
I'm just. He looked like he went to Home Depot real quick, grabbed the shit he needed, like it was a last day science fair project situation where his head popped off the pillow and said, shit, today's a science fair." Like, that's what
they rehearsed that. They rehearsed that, Elijah.
It didn't look that way. It didn't look that way. I'm just saying, though, like, that whole day was sad.
I just fuck with
that whole day for me was sad. I didn't have my pawpaw. My team was losing. Jack Harlow looked like crap out there, and I'm not a Jack Harlow fan, but like, I wanted to see the guy do well. I mean, national TV.
Harlow not bad. He's not bad. I like him.
Yeah, he always says, "I'm not vanilla, baby." Like, he didn't look like any of the flavors when he was out there.
Shut up, man. Oh my God.
Saying. But no, but like I said, my lose it and get over it and let's go do what we got to do with the Packers. And then we turn around and lose to the Bears. And I'm like, man, what are we doing? Like, I'm starting to wonder, are we going to beat the Vikings?
Can I ask you a question, Elijah?
Go ahead.
Not to even cut you off, my brother. What was our preseason predictions for the whole season? I think I was like 11-6, wasn't I?
I think.
Is this how 11-6 look though? Like, I don't know.
It don't feel good. It don't, because and here's what's funny about that though. Like, because you had said, I think 11-7.
Something like that.
When you're thinking 11-7, you're thinking, hey, that feels
no 11-7. That's 18 games. That's 18 games.
Or 11-6. My bad. But anyway,
yeah.
But you're thinking, hey, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody can get to that amount, but the problem is we have hope. We have hope. We've been building hope, and the team has been showing us why we should have hope this entire time. And now all of a sudden it's like, no, let's turn it over. And it feels.
Yeah, I thought we was going to sweep the division, though.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. That's what I was led to believe. And then
look. Hey, there's two things you can't calculate and can't calculate. You can't calculate health and chemistry. And you can't calculate divisional games.
The division games biting us in the ass this year.
Don't nobody know you better than the people in your division.
And I said,
damn, we only lost one last year.
I said that actually on Friday, Reggie. I said that to Bobby. I said, look, let's get it, because this was prior to the loss against Chicago. But I said, let's beat the Bears. Let's do what we got to do, okay? And let's get a playoff game where we're playing somebody that does not have all this tape on us, like a divisional opponent does. Let's make them have to actually scout us because they don't normally play us. That's what I said on Friday. And yeah, like Reggie just said, they got all the tape in the world. They can go back, years. They probably have a whole room in their facility dedicated to Detroit Lion footage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this week, we play somebody who we don't normally play. We got the Denver Broncos coming to town. It is going to be a Saturday night game on national television between our Detroit Lions and Donnie Despaw's Denver Broncos. Yeah, Donnie Despaw also a part of the studio. So I'm hoping my fellows will give him some grief this week, because every time I go onto the radio station, he's always talking about what Reggie posts on Facebook, what Nate posts on Facebook, and Bobby. He's like, they're really interesting people. So I need y'all to go after him this week. Start posting Broncos suck or something like that. But
I like that.
He's a good dude. He's a good dude. But this Saturday, again, it is a big national televised game. And I got to ask the fellows here, Denver, they're kind of the opposite of us, because they started out the season with a lot of hope, got beat down quite a bit. Then they were thinking, okay, well, the draft is next year. Oh, crap, we don't have any picks because of Russell Wilson.
They stupid for giving up their whole team for dudes, yeah. Man. That's crazy, man.
And you know who laughs the most about that every night before he lays his head on his pillow? Pete Carroll. He's laughing his ass off.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden they got hope. They're second place in their division after the Chiefs, and Justin Herbert's out for the season now. And the Raiders don't know what the hell they're going to do. So the Broncos are kind of looking at it going, we can't lose any more games, but we might have a shot. So, fellas, what do you think about the Broncos? We'll start with Reggie.
Put Russell Wilson on his back. That's the key to the game. You put him on his back. You make Russell revert back to Russell from last year.
Okay.
You look like a step too slow. Like his anticipation was a little bit off. And you put him on his back. You got to get to the QB that game. Got to. He's the key to everything that they do. Everything. Sutton is a problem.
He's a bum, man.
I talked about him earlier this year when I said that somebody that wanted us to trade for.
Oh, I thought, yeah, the guy, the kid that caught the ball with one hand.
Sutton.
Yeah, the one that caught the ball with one hand. And then
there's
the ball
Sutton, not
hand.
our Sutton.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I remember Reggie put something about our Sutton in the chat like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, damn, he is sorry. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm talking about the other Sutton. The other Sutton. Good Sutton. I'm talking about good Sutton, not bad Sutton.
The good Sutton. The good Sutton. I got you.
Yeah, good Sutton don't play for the Lions. Good Sutton plays for Denver.
We got Sutton.
The guy is a problem. And it's one of those things where, you got Denver's going to want to run the ball. They want to set up play action just like most teams typically do. But it's really winnable, man. Like this ain't the Russell Wilson from the Seahawks. This is Denver Russell Wilson. He's good, not great. And he's a guy that you can't get to. Their offensive line, they got, they're middling. But we just even last week, it was about 5 or 6 times where we could have had Fields and we didn't get them.
Mm-hmm. Man, we had 4th and 13. They threw a touchdown pass.
I didn't want to.
Dude,
I didn't want to put Hutch on blast. But
he was slow.
You got to be smarter than that, bro.
Oh, jumping offside. Hell yeah.
You got to be smarter than that. But the funny thing is, whether it was offsides or not, my man was getting beat.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Aiden Hutchinson, you guys are going to see it in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure if y'all keep up with movie news or not, but he is starring in the latest Hallmark Christmas
here we
movie.
Go.
He is starring in the latest Hallmark Christmas movie called Holding Aiden, because that's all we've seen the entire season. That poor man is fighting for his life.
Hey, that do sound like a made-for-TV movie, though, or something.
Embracing Aiden. Yeah.
Horrible.
I got an idea for our defense, okay? Because if anybody can make Russell Wilson look like he's going to win the Super Bowl this year, it's us. So here's the thing. I got an idea. I'm going to run it by Reggie and Bobby. Since we don't want to throw Jameson Williams the ball, What if we put Jameson Williams as safety and just told him go run after Russell? We're gonna have him running cardio anyway. Why don't we just have him try to run at Russell?
I don't know. He made that on that interception. He got that damn he got made the dude fumble, man. He be out there playing tough though. He probably could.
I'm just saying, have him play spy because nobody on the defense wants to. I mean, crap.
I thought they was gonna have Reeve Maven spy him or something like that, man. I just didn't understand that. I don't even. Yeah, let's talk about Denver though. I don't even want to go. I'm through with that. I moved on.
But go ahead, Reggie. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to get
good. I mean, it's simple game plan. Simple game plan for me. And then offensively, run the ball. Run the ball.
Yeah.
Run the ball. Run the ball, sack the QB. That's it.
Right.
Win the game.
like somebody needs to make that phone call that Sandra Bullock made in The Blind Side. Like, quit being fancy and run the damn ball.
Run. Hey. What was the song that played? When the Saints come walking in?
Yeah.
Oh.
and hey,
my man hung up like.
Yeah. I will throw this out there just to kind of give you my initial thoughts on Denver. I do think they are a team that, like I said earlier, they got hope, and hope is a dangerous thing, especially at this point in the season when they're looking at their division and they're saying it is ours for the taking. They're not going to win the division, but being second place in the division is not where anybody predicted them to be at the beginning of the year, because everybody was talking about how the Raiders were going to do okay and how the Chargers were going to do good. And as I told y'all before, I get credit for predicting a lot of things, but sometimes y'all make it too damn easy. I told y'all, Chargers gonna Charger, because that's what they do. You can't trust them, okay? You can't trust them. But anyway,
Eckler been trash all year.
And he had the nerve to talk about Gibbs. Get out of here with that mess. Anyway, so with Denver, though, they got hope. It's also Sean Payton taking on Dan Campbell. And that's going to be a big, big story on Saturday. I guarantee you that the broadcast team is going to cover that so much that you're going to be sick of it by the third quarter. But Sean Payton was the man who gave Dan Campbell his start as an assistant head coach. He also had Aaron Glenn over there. They had Anzalone over there on that Saints team. And here's what I saw. When the Lions played the Saints, again, I was watching it kind of in the airport, but I saw an inspired team. It was almost like Dan Campbell said, fellas, I need this one. I need this one. You can't let me lose to the team that I used to coach for. And they said, we got you, coach. And they went out there and they did it. I got a feeling if we were in there for the rah-rah speech before this game, it's going to be a very similar thing. Listen, I'm going against my mentor. You can't let us lose this game. So those are my thoughts. As far as the actual players on the field, I agree with Reggie. You got to sack Russell Wilson. Problem is, Aiden Hutchinson's being embraced. He's being loved on by every single
one. Oh, my God. He's being embraced. He's being loved on.
That's right. Just taking a step further, he's getting pounded, as Reggie has said so many times.
Oh, my God.
Okay, and the funniest thing about that was Reggie was hearing himself as he talked, and you could see him almost start laughing because he said, I'm getting pounded like 3 times in 30 seconds. So, but anyway, but my point is, okay,
y'all something wrong with y'all, man.
If it's another episode of embracing Aiden, it's going to be a long night for us. Okay, somebody else. Here's the thing. We talked about it before, and Reggie kind of laughed at this. I think he might laugh at this one too. When there's 8 people on Amon-Ra, somebody else got to be open. When there's 8 people, including the referees, holding Aiden Hutchinson, somebody else has got to be available to get to the quarterback, right, fellas?
Absolutely.
Man, I don't know.
I
don't know, man, because they holding everybody for real.
And I do want to throw this in there because I got asked about it earlier today. Somebody asked me my opinion on the whole officiating this year. I just want to point this out again, and I have said it before. I don't like to complain about referees. But I will say the NFL does not care about integrity of the game. They don't, because they are the only league of the big four. We're talking hockey, baseball, basketball, football. They're the only league of the big four that have independent contractors as referees.
Yeah, and they're not full timers, right?
All
And
these
they're
other
not full timers.
leagues, all these other leagues have got full-time officials where that is all they do. NFL, though, they're like, no, it's fine. We're going to have a lawyer come do this as his second gig. And I'm not saying anything bad against the independent contractors who are out there refereeing these games. It's not a shot at them. It's actually a shot at the NFL because they got enough money to do full-time officials. They've just chosen not to because this is the easier route for them. And on top of that, if you do it this way, you don't got to worry about them referees unionizing. And now you got to worry about a player contract with their CBA and the players union and the referee union too. So I think what's going to end up happening, and this is just kind of a prediction here, I might be wrong on this, but I think what's going to end up happening is the government is going to get involved and they're going to bring the NFL in. If they don't start having full-time officials, they're going to bring the NFL in for what they do whenever they go and investigate people, because you see them do it with Facebook all the time and all these other things.
I'll have a committee, a Senate hearing committee.
Yeah, they're going to.
You got to think about it. The NFL is one of the most betted on sports in the world.
And that's my point. And that's my point. They're going to bring them in and they're going to say, listen, all these people are betting money on these games and you don't have full-time officials. What's that about?
These aren't guys that you can control.
Right. So my thing is either the NFL fixes the problem by hiring full-time officials or they will be forced to fix the problem. I think they're going to wait to get forced to fix the problem, but I think a lot more teams are starting to realize, especially this season for some reason, that something isn't right, that calls are getting missed and it's an issue. And, you know, when somebody like Patrick Mahomes, who is on every single commercial, says something about it and has the reaction that he does, it tends to get attention. Whereas when it happens to us,
Kansas City been lining up wrong all year, man.
Listen, I don't feel bad for them. I think the call was correct. I've never heard a player be mad that a call was called correctly. But I'm just saying.
But you know what? The explanation made sense, though. Yeah. Like the explanation for why they were pissed, because
they didn't get the warning, right?
Yeah, they typically give them a warning, and it makes sense. Because like if I'm looking down the line, I can't see whether my foot is lined up with something that's 10 yards, 15 yards away. But he can see it because I'm blocking his view. Right. Like he can't see the football. But maybe he was betting on that game and he needed Kansas City to lose.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Reggie. Don't do that.
But you know what, though? Like I said, though, I think the NFL, they're either going to be forced to do it or they're going to do it voluntarily. But I think the days of independent contractors being referees for the NFL are probably going to come to a close. But again, if you leave it to the NFL to do it, they never will, because they don't really care about that. As much as
the NFL got the Congress in their pocket, man.
Well, and here's the other thing, Bobby, and I think you would agree with this. I think Reggie would too. As much as they want to suspend players for gambling, they don't really care. They don't care about that. What they care about is, are we getting richer every single year? Is the game being expanded all across the globe? That's what they're thinking about.
You can look at how they handled the concussion situation in tail.
Yeah, they covered it up.
Right. And here's the other thing. If they can get free publicity from a bad call, they'll take that every day.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's true. They do it on purpose.
I think they might get forced to do full-time officials, not to take the conversation away from the Broncos, but I'm just saying, I think that might happen. But again, for me, just to wrap up my thoughts, it's a big game for Dan Campbell. It's a big game for the Detroit Lions. I'd like to believe we're going to go out there and handle our business, but I think a lot of that depends on running the ball and sticking with running the ball. Although I will say we're indoors. And I hate to say that about this team, because I was really hoping that we were building ourselves to be able to play no matter where we had to play. That we
can if we run the ball. If we run the ball, we can run anywhere. Shit.
but we haven't done that though. You know, we
Nope.
didn't do that last week. So, but for me, like I said, I think it's a big game. I agree with Reggie. Bobby, what are your thoughts on the Broncos so that we can
We
keep
gotta be we gotta be careful with the Broncos. They are an opportunistic defense. They do get turnovers, and along with Sean Payton is not no young upstart fucking coordinator. He will be able to find the Lions' weaknesses in that defense, in that defense. So I'm interested to see what we're gonna do to be better because Russell Wilson ain't no youngster either. He been around too. He done seen a lot of different coverages himself. So it ain't no he's not a guy that I feel like we can make mistakes. He'll get us. So he can move the chains. To me, it's more like with Justin Fields with a better arm. So the question is, what are we going to do to keep Russell Wilson from making them off-script plays? Because that's what it's going to come down to. And if you haven't noticed, that's what kills us in the long run. So that's what I'm interested to see. What are we going to do? What are we doing to stop the usual? Because believe it or not, other than Sutton, and that's the only guy I could think of that they even got that's really a good receiver.
But
But
they still got Jerry Jeudy.
Oh, Jerry Jeudy, huh? Yeah. Yeah, so they decent. So hey, we're gonna have to play some football on Saturday. So I hope the team that been coming out the last couple weeks ain't gonna show up. So we need some guys.
I agree with you, Bobby. I really do hope that, you know, last week was the wake-up call that we needed. That, hey, wait a minute now, fellas. We're not entitled to anything. We got to go out there and we got to earn everything we got. And if we don't do that, we're going to give away what was already presumably ours. And that's my fear. But I think one of you guys had looked up, and forgive me because I don't know who to give the credit to on this, but one of you guys looked up the playoff clinching scenarios.
Yeah, that was me earlier.
What was that, Bobby?
It was 2 more wins in our next 4. 2 wins out of the next 4 is a playoff spot. I'm assuming the division. So
okay. All right. So we need this one. This would be nice to go ahead and get one of those 2 wins that we need out of the way. Because if y'all remember, and I know y'all do, last season when we were sitting there, you know, thinking about, we're coming, like we might end up getting in the playoffs. We had to keep waiting, and keep waiting, and it was like we need this win, and we didn't get that one when we needed, and then we ended up getting our hearts broken at the end of the year. I don't want to be in that situation. Let's just handle that business now, because I've seen quite a few late season collapses by our favorite team.
Oh man, I ain't gonna even tell you this collapse or potential collapse remind me of the year that we started off 6-2 and ended up 7-9.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that. And then there was another, because I got copies of some of the games here in my house so that during the off season I can watch them because they're so often taken off of YouTube. But anyway, one of the games I like to rewatch a lot is the Cowboys and the Lions when Calvin Johnson went off for like 100 yards.
Oh yeah, that was a good game.
Here's what I forgot about that game. All the turnovers. We tried to give that game to Dallas so many different times. And they were saying on the broadcast, like, if the Lions could just not turn it over to the other team, they'd be one of the best in football right now. And I was sitting there thinking about that earlier today, and I'm like, isn't that funny how the more things change, the more things stay the same? Because we're becoming that team again, and none of those players are still on the team. So I hope we can get out of that rhythm. I do want to bring attention to a story, and we're going to go to Reggie Funches for this. Ndamukong Suh, I guess he made a phone call, but we decided to shut that down. Reggie, first, do you believe the report? And second, can you come up with any good reason why we wouldn't want Ndamukong Suh on this team right now?
No.
No, you don't believe it? That was a 2-parter, my friend.
I'm gonna say no and no.
Okay.
I don't want to believe that we're that inept. Something tells me that Suh would be a Campbell type of guy.
I would have thought so.
Um, and the only thing I can think of is maybe they feel like he'd be too much of a distraction because of his previous story and history with us. Maybe like they don't want to they don't want the viewpoint to be on Sue and his return instead of what the team is actually doing. It might be something in the front office, maybe some lingering animosity or issues between player and front office. Maybe that's the kicker. Because football wise, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't want to. And the guy that we did end up getting, I mean, he hasn't been productive in the last 3 years.
We talking about Irvin?
Talking about Allahu.
Oh yeah. I don't know why we got
the guy that they decided to go with.
from
He's
the
not better than the
Pittsburgh
guy
dude.
that he's not better than Sue. So I no, I don't get it.
So, Bobby, let me turn it over to you on this one, my friend. Same 2 questions. Do you believe it? And can you come up with any good reason why we shouldn't have taken that phone call more seriously?
I do believe it. Because Detroit, for some reason, they don't like to be in the headlines about player acquisition. They always go for the guy with that's not going to be the big splash, you know? I do believe it for that part, but do I have a legit reason why they would do it? No. So I don't know what to say. I'm going to say yes and no. Yes, I believe it, but no way in hell can I justify not picking that dude on our team.
So Sue was one of my favorite players. I don't know if I told you that before, but Sue was one of my favorite players the Lions picked up. And I was heartbroken when he left because I feel like, to me, we always talk about in basketball, you got to get your big 3, right? You got to get your big 3. To me, our big 3 was Stafford, Calvin, and Sue. And I thought if they would have kept those 3 together, we probably would have won a championship by now. We might be talking about something completely different at this point. But we didn't keep those 3 together, and I hated that. So every time Sue's name comes up, I get excited because I'm thinking, hey, bring him home. Let him experience what this version of the Lions is, because he was a part of bringing us back to relevance, in my opinion. And if you have the chance to bring him back, bring him back. I would say the same thing about Calvin Johnson. If I thought that he had anything left in the tank to give us, I'd say, hey, figure it out. Let's bring him back. And Stafford, if I thought that he could help us win right now, then I would say that too. But I'm more so saying that about, other positions outside of quarterback. But hey, I was happy about the idea of Sue. And what shocks me about it is Campbell is a former player. Campbell likes to bring in former players as coaches. Maybe not necessarily former Lions. He has done that, but he likes to bring in former players. And it seems like Detroit is putting an emphasis on getting people from Michigan who have a love for Detroit, who have a love for this team. Sue's not from Michigan, but he's invested a crap ton of money into Detroit. And he loves the city, obviously. Otherwise, he wouldn't have invested the money into it. So
he's always here.
And to me, that's where I'm thinking maybe this report isn't true. Because why would Campbell, and more importantly, why would Brad Holmes and Sheila go out of their way to shut down a conversation? Because those were the words that were used in the article, that they shut it down. Not that they said it doesn't work out for us right now. They shut it down like it was a bad idea. I want to believe that we would not do that, especially when Aleem McNeil is out for a little while. Our defense is struggling. And while we are stopping people from running the ball from the running back position, we can't stop anybody who's a quarterback who has even the slightest a bit of mobility. So for me, I have a hard time believing this report is true. If it is true, man, that is some balls on Brad Holmes to say, listen, I know we're struggling, but I believe in my plan enough that we don't need you.
And we're not saying, oh my God, we get Sue, we're going to win a championship, or, he's going to be the key. but the guy can contribute immediately. Like we watched the dude for the Eagles, and the Eagles were deep. Like it wasn't like he was getting 30, 40 snaps a game. You're probably talking about 20, 15 to 20. And in that 15 to 20, he was producing. Here, he would actually need to be leaned on a little bit more. So I was curious to see what Ndamukong Suh would do more opportunities to get pressure on the QB, to be a game wrecker, because that's what he's always been.
Yep.
And it don't make sense.
And the Suh fear. Because one thing I love about Suh, just because you ain't got the ball, do not guarantee he ain't gonna hit you. So there's so I love that about him. And another thing that I do love about Ndamukong Suh, he always played like he cared. You never had to worry about if he was invested or not.
So here's a question. Here's a question for you, Bobby, and for Reggie too. When Reggie pops back in. So could it have been? Let's say, for example, this report was true. I don't think it was, but let's just say it's true. Could Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell be looking at the fact that Ndamukong Suh, while dominant in Detroit, was also highly penalized in Detroit, and maybe them thinking that wouldn't be a good reason to bring him in? What do you think, Bobby?
I think it's more of the Ford family. I think Suh is the type of player where if the Ford say yes, he coming. If the Ford say no, he ain't coming. So I don't think it's a Suh thing. I think it's the Ford family thing, to be honest.
I certainly get that, my friend. I know we have not done really prospect watch in a while, but I did want to just put this out there. Reports are saying that Drake May is going to be in the draft next year, so you're going to hear a lot of talk about Drake May.
Well, remind me, who was that? That's LSU quarterback?
He's the North Carolina quarterback.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about. Okay.
Jaden Daniels is the LSU quarterback who won the Heisman.
Right, hit the Heisman. That's why.
Weekend. I'm going to be honest with that. I know we don't usually talk about college football, but I'm trying to buy time in case Nate wants to hop in here late. I was surprised that the Heisman Trophy went to a quarterback who led his team to third place in their division. I'm not talking third place in the conference. I'm talking third place in their division, because on the SEC West, they had Alabama, Mississippi, and then LSU. And I'm a little surprised that they said, you know what, we're going to pick our Heisman Trophy winner to be a guy who, yes, they had a winning season. Yes, they're playing in a big bowl game, but he didn't even get his team to a conference championship game.
Damn. Yeah, I was surprised too. I thought he was going to get the Ohio State kid.
I thought it would have went to the Florida State kid. I know he's banged up and he's hurt and everything, but he led his team, but again, Florida State kind of getting the short end of the stick there. But I also wanted to bring this up. So y'all know I'm a Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets fan. Y'all know I try to work them into the show whenever I can. Here's what I find interesting. The Heisman Trophy winner. You know who's got similar stats to the Heisman Trophy winner? Georgia Tech quarterback Haynes King. Now, Georgia Tech went 6-6 this year. They're going to a bowl game. They're going to be playing against Central Florida. But he's supposed to come back next year. And so I'm kind of putting you on prospect watch, not for this draft, but for maybe next year's draft. So I'm talking 2025. Look out for Haynes King, because Haynes King was doing some big things in Atlanta. And I got a feeling, year two in that offense for him, he might start, really rising up people's boards. And what I love about him, he plays the game with guts. He's got a pretty good arm. He's got decent mobility. He reminds me a lot of Jared Goff when it comes to what he's asked to do in the offense. He's asked to do enough to help them win, don't do enough to help us lose. But I would say he's got more mobility than Jared Goff and a little bit better of an arm than Jared Goff. But keep your eyes on Haynes King. out of Georgia Tech because, again, next season for him and even the bowl game coming up against Central Florida, he might be somebody that y'all might look at and say, I'm not saying for the Lions, but for somebody, they might get themselves a steal depending on what happens. But
I don't want him because you just use golf in the comparison.
Well, like I said, he's not like golf.
I'm just
but you get what I'm saying. The other person that I talked about a few months ago, I think it was like a month ago, Alex Mortensen. I talked about him as an offensive coordinator. He was also somebody that I went to his high school games as a kid. He was one of the first quarterbacks I ever saw live when I was a little guy, looking up to somebody. He was the person I looked up to. Alex Mortensen is the offensive coordinator at UAB. He has been nominated for the Broyles Award, which goes to the top assistant in college football. And this is his first year as an offensive coordinator for UAB. But they are averaging over 400 yards of offense per game. And again, this is his first year working with UAB, which is being coached by Trent Dilfer. So keep your eye on Alex Mortensen. He did have a number of years at Alabama as an analyst. He was part of the reason why Bryce Young got drafted so high, because he would spend extra time with him and Mac Jones and some of those other guys for Alabama when they were at Alabama. And now he's at UAB getting a chance to call the plays, and he's still making it happen. So watch out for him. And yes, he is the son of Chris Mortensen, who used to be on ESPN. I do want to say, Reggie, do you got time to do a quick closing statement, my friend?
Please don't lose to Denver.
Man, Reggie, stop doing that, man. You're so damn funny. Cry for help. That's a cry for help.
I don't need that. I don't need that this weekend.
Bobby Bless.
I love you, fellas. I'll get with y'all later.
All right, man, I love you. Love you. And Bobby Bless, I was going to try to hang on for Nate Rucker, but Nate got off at 7:30. I don't want him driving fast to try to get on the broadcast.
Yeah, so, he'll be all right.
So, my friend, as we close out this show, any closing remarks?
Yeah, Dan Campbell, I want you to set the tone. Go at the beginning of the game in warm-ups, you go right to the middle of the field and punch Sean Payton in the nose. Like, fuck what you did for me. This is the Lions now. Just set the tone. No, man, I just want them. I just want them to win, man. Hopefully, we can get out this little funk. I just realized how much my attitude and happiness revolves around this silly ass football team. Because I ain't been happy. I haven't been happy this week. I've been trying to avoid conversations at work. It's just no. I can't live this life.
I'm pretty sure Bobby Bless punched a fan in the electronics section. If I'm not
No, I didn't. But I do got the Viking fan from third shift. He want to talk shit now, so
yeah.
He said, his exact words was, at the beginning of the season, I thought we didn't have no shot against the Lions. But now the way you guys been playing, I think we got a 50-50 chance. I said, oh, my God, dude, go do the third shift and get the fuck on, man. Go home. Yeah, so
here's the deal. If you are ever in Toledo, Ohio, and you happen to come across Bobby Bless, or if you're at one of our studio events for
God,
and you see Bobby Bless, I would highly recommend, if it's after a loss, do not ask for an autograph. Do not ask for a photo, because he will probably rip up your autograph photo and, smash your camera. Okay, don't do that after a Lions loss.
Dude, one of my bosses was like, Bobby, she was talking about something with work, and then she said, Bobby, I'm so disappointed with the Lions. I'm like, damn. I'd rather just go and do the work and move on. She wanted to add that little caveat at the end, so everybody know.
Here's the good news, though. You're a good employee. Could you imagine being a bad employee? Because then you would be getting reprimanded for your work ethic and your sorry-ass football team.
Hell yeah. They're probably like, dude, you don't need Sundays off no more. They'll do that to me, too.
Yeah, that's messed up. Bobby, did you have a score prediction for Denver, or are you just hoping we win?
I I don't want to do that. I don't want to cheat the system. I want to have a score. uh, 29. I don't know where this 9 come from. 29, 19 Lions.
Okay, 20. You didn't have to give a score. You were like hurting yourself there to try to do that. Bobby.
Yeah, because I want to be realistic, but I also want to win. So I don't know how that. I hope those two worlds can combine together. So.
I hope so. I hope you're making me hungry with them Pringles. I'm just saying. So for me, I will just say, I hope we win against Denver. Usually I give score predictions because Bobby gave one. I will. I don't want to leave Bobby out there on an island all by himself. So I'm going to say score prediction for me. We're indoors. We're at home. So I'm going to say Lions 31, Denver 17. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's see if we can't make that happen.
That would be lovely.
That would be lovely, especially on national television. As far as my closing remarks are concerned, again, I do want to thank Reggie for joining us for as long as he could. I want to thank Bobby as well. Nate was not with us tonight, but he was with us in spirit. Yeah, he unfortunately had to work till 7:30, so he was not able to hop on here before the end of the broadcast. But I do want to thank Nate because Nate's always working on stuff for the show. And I want to thank everybody who watched the program tonight. Hopefully you found it to be entertaining. Remember, my friends, every day is an opportunity to make your life a little bit better and the lives of those you love a little bit better. So when you wake up in the morning, make sure you take that opportunity. You take advantage of it, my friends. And if you, in this upcoming week, come across a situation where your skill set can make it even a fraction of a bit better, you have the ability. Now you got the responsibility. Go out there and do what you can